This will hopefully be a very short video, maybe 10 or 12 minutes at best. It is September 29th, 2025, and we're coming up upon the first Sunday in October, this coming Sunday, end of the week or beginning of next week. Um, this marks the date each year, the first Sunday in October, for the annual Life Chain, where Christians and other people of conscience come out and peacefully hold signs supporting life and taking a clear stand against abortion. I want to talk just a little bit about that and encourage those of us who are moved by the death and dismemberment and, frankly, the Holocaust that has been going on in the mother's womb for the last 50 or so years since Roe v. Wade. I want to encourage you to consider coming out. You can go on a website and National Life Chain website and find a location near you where you can go out for, uh, a half hour, 2 hours, and peacefully hold a sign making a statement to support life. There is a theology which has been gaining traction for the last probably two generations within the Christian community, particularly the evangelical community, and some of the traditional legacy churches and denominations, which says there are certain things that we don't talk about um, because, first of all, it's either political and we don't mix religion and politics, or and this is a more subtle but a much more dangerous one, I think, which says there are certain topics which are sensitive to the point where they might offend somebody who then won't want to hear about our version of the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is all bullshit, frankly. Um, Whoever said religion and politics don't mix? It wasn't it wasn't a pastor, and I don't think it was a Christian. My guess it was a politician or somebody with an agenda and an ideology they wanted to promote at the expense of Christians and people of moral values. So anyway, this is not a theology that I personally embrace. I'm a Christian. The practical application of my theology comes down to two things: speaking truth into people's lives and then taking care of those people, starting where they're at. Um, I want to suggest to you that we are having a life chain. I'm doing this video in the West Bend, Wisconsin area, and we'll be meeting at the corner of Main and Paradise on Sunday, October 5th, between 1 and 3. Anybody that wants to join us, there's no sign up, no registration. We're not taking names. There's be signs provided you can hold or not, and just stand with us for 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, the whole time, whatever you want to do. But this is a solid way to make a stand for life peacefully. The I want to read the an announcement that we have been circulating with some background on this, and this is a little notice that I put together and was circulating. And the reason I want to read it is because I was asked to read it yesterday in a church I was at, and most of the churches don't want to touch this. We invite them every year to announce it, and are largely ignored. But this church did not ignore it. They asked me to actually come in and read um, my background statement on the life change and why it's important. So I'm going to read it here. Um, I did the math. In the course of a 40-minute pulpit sermon on the average Sunday morning, over 50 American babies lose their lives to abortion. They are murdered in what was designed by God to be the most secure environment on earth, a mother's womb. If you're so inclined, you can still go online and find an ultrasound video showing an abortion and watch a baby fighting for its life as it's being dismembered. Anyone who can watch more than a few seconds of this has a stronger stomach than I do. Recently, I learned that tissue and body parts to be commercially marketed must be extracted while the preborn child is still alive. This is ghastly. What is worse, however, is the silence of the American pulpits and the Christian community. These baby screams are silent. Christians and people of conscience are their only voice. On Sunday, October 5th, 2025, we will again be conducting the annual life change across the country to raise awareness and eventually end this Holocaust. Please consider joining us to peacefully hold a sign supporting life. If you can't join us, would you please at least consider passing this information on to your friends and your church leaders and encouraging them to take a moral stand? I want to make a clear point. There are people, I believe, sitting in virtually every congregation and every Christian church in the country who are wounded and are sensitive about this topic. Some because they have family or friends that have been involved in this decision, some because they're carrying the wounds and scars of the decision that they made themselves. Those wounds and those scars won't disappear by ignoring this. It's truth, Jesus said, that sets people free. And if your pastor or your church leader um, doesn't want to speak to these issues for fear of offending somebody, let me provide some context and perspective. He's laying the dismemberment of living babies in their mother's womb, fighting for their lives while they're being not just dismembered, but their parts are being marketed. And he's weighing that against not wanting to hurt somebody's feelings. There's something wrong with that picture. First of all, the people sitting in churches claiming to be Christians, but unwilling to take a stand on matters of right and wrong, let alone look in the mirror and deal with their own wounds. There's something seriously wrong with that picture. And so I'm encouraging all of us to make a moral choice, take a stand up for this life. And I want to close with the words of Jesus. If, as part of your theology or your church leadership theology, um, even out of compassion and empathy, to not want to talk about these issues for fear of hurting or offending somebody, let me put it in context biblically. This is Jesus himself talking. This is in Matthew 25, the end of the chapter, 31 to 46. And this is what he has to say about taking care of people. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne, and all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king, that's Jesus, will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did he see you a stranger and invite you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, "Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did it to one of the least of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it to me." Then he will also say to those on his left, Depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. Naked, you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they themselves also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not take care of you? Then he will answer them, Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. These will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. That's Jesus speaking. We all have an eternal appointment, or um, which will determine our eternal destiny when we stand before Jesus. And the deciding factor isn't how good we felt about Jesus or how good we felt about the worship music in church. The deciding factor, according to what I just read, will be how did we take care of the least among us? Um, we have to speak truth into people's lives, and we have to take a stand for truth. So I'm asking anybody who might trip over this video to please consider what I'm saying. The theology which says we avoid certain topics for fear of offending people, that's no theology at all. That's not Christianity. That's not the history of the church. And it's can't be our history if we hope to save our civilization, let alone treat our wounded. So thank you for watching.